Good afternoon. This is the time and place for the Legal and Finance Committee meeting for October 1, 2025, and we'll begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Evans?
Here.
Lehman?
Here.
Sechrist? Stroman?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next item is adoption of the agenda, and I'd like to go to Councilman Tamang.
Addition, and if I can get a second, I will give more detail. So a little bit of background on this addition, and I guess I'm talking mostly to the community and the press here. As we know, there's been a opioid epidemic that's been rolling on for the better part of a decade, and as part of that, we have identified, the Attorney General's office has identified that there were many groups that contributed to that. There were manufacturers, there were distributors, and subsequently there were a series of prosecutions that took place, and ultimately a fairly substantial size settlement fund. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million that is currently controlled by an opioid advisory committee. As some of you may have observed over the last several weeks, the Attorney General's office has suggested that some of this money come to the two largest urban areas, which specifically would be Rapid City and Sioux Falls. And Mayor Solomon responded to this by forming a committee, of which I am on, to try to find a way for those funds to come to our area to support. And one of the We presented to the Opioid Advisory Committee, and just by way of a little background, one of the, I would say, criticisms or why they perhaps wouldn't want that money to come here is because over the course of the several years, small amounts of funds have trickled in to the city, and without a whole lot of direction, we weren't sure how to spend that, and it's accumulated to about $500,000. And so at this time, I think it's appropriate to move those funds under the control of a committee that would be overseen by the Common Council and the mayor. So my motion is to allocate current and future opioid settlement funds to the Opioid Settlement Committee that has already been established.
Okay, but for purposes of this motion, it's just to add that item to the agenda?
That's correct.
Okay. So there's been a motion and a second to add an item to the agenda as explained to you by Dr. Tamang. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to general public comment. This is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. And I have one general public comment request, speaker request form from Chad Ellsworth. Thank you, sir. We try to keep them to 3 minutes on the general public comment.
Is this on?
It is.
Yeah. Chet Ellsworth, Rapid City, and a TIF petitioner. I'm asking Legal and Finance Committee to advise council to reverse and remand to a statutory and constitutional governing body the September 15, 25 City Council meeting consent item number 6. Number 6 is approval of the minutes for September 2nd, 25 City Council meeting. And that's as to the following non-consent items. Ordinance item number 15, the Black Hills Corporation rezone request. The legal and finance items 19 through 26. And if I have time, I'll read those at the end. Those were pertaining to the TIFs. The basis that I'm citing for this request is ordinance number 6479, dated 4/5/21, amending 2.40.030, the city code, duty to perform the duties of auditor, treasurer, and finance director, the combining of the offices, as provided by law in the South Dakota statutes and ordinance of Rapid City. When they combined those offices, it's my feeling the city incorporated. they became a corporation body with no separation of powers. When it incorporates, its powers are communitized, thereby communitizing the jurisdiction and basically communism. There was no citation to the statute or ordinance in April on Ordinance 6479. No citation at all for when they communitized. And in the event that separation of powers or lack of it is relied on by the constituency, the commission must defer until separation of powers is again sustained. In the specific items stated above, commissioners must defer and reverse the items. I want to read those items now if you're going to give me the time. The first one was item number 15, and that's
He's got one.
changing of the general agricultural district to light industrial district on Deadwood and Tatanka Road. The legal items, your items that you had in there, were the memorandum of understanding with Elevate regarding Opportunity Capture Fund, 25T1011 resolution for the Black Hills Industrial Center Increment District, the resolution creating Rapid City Destination Tax Increment Financing District, and a resolution approving the project plan for that Rapid City Destination District, the resolution creating Rapid City Catalyst District Tax Increment Financing District, and the resolution approving the project plan for the Rapid City Catalyst District, the resolution and intent to statutory authorize increase of property tax revenue as part of the annual appropriation, and the last one is a recommendation on the ordinance regarding FY 2026 appropriation. My questions really started out with who is the elected official that is a custodian of records. When you combine the offices there, we have no elected, that I can see, no elected official to handle any of that as a governing body. The second question is, who is the elected official that is the election supervisor under this? I think it all goes to the separation of powers thing, and I think that we need to go ahead and get it back on record so that separation of powers is again sustained. I hope this helps. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other speaker request forms for public comment, so I'm going to close general public comment and move on to consent items 1 through 20, and I'm going to open public comment on consent items 1 through 20, and I do have speaker request forms for, nope, I don't have them for consent items. So I'm going to close public comment on consent items 1 through 20, and then proceed to items 1 through 20. And first first item will be the approval of minutes for September 10, 2025.
So moved.
Motion by Evans and second by Seacrest to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, go to the mayor's office regarding approve the appointment of Stephanie Carter to the Hotel Business Improvement District Board.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Evans and second by Seacrest. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go for item 3 to the attorney's office. City Attorney Joel Landine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is we're asking you to approve the ability of the mayor and finance officer to execute documents and join the settlement. It's another opioid settlement. You had previously approved another one, I believe, with the larger Purdue. Now this is several of the other producers of opioids that we would be settling with. This is a national settlement. The AG's office is encouraging the municipalities to enter into this. I don't know that it's clear how much money we'll receive, but through the state and through the settlement, we'll receive additional funds. So we would encourage you to approve this so we can enjoy the benefits of the settlement.
Thank you. We'll go to Stephen Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is important to highlight. These opioid settlements are floating around, and there's quite a few different organizations that are trying to find coordination. And it's very important that as a city, we know how these dollars can serve our already strained systems. And so while, of course, we need to approve this, we really need to take it a step further. The council members, the mayor, people of responsibility, we really need to mobilize and engage, because if we don't do that, certainly by approving this, but if we don't go further than that, speak to the secretaries of DSS, speak to the Secretary of Health, speak to the people that work for the governor, these funds could very well be used in a far less effective manner than we could here.
There's a motion by Seacrest and a second by Evans to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. And then, Stephen, would this be a good time to have your amended motion, your motion that we amended the minutes for, or does that have to go on non-consent? Joel, did you hear the addition to the agenda from Dr. Tamang?
I didn't.
Okay. Can you just, and I just don't know where we can fit this into the agenda where it's appropriate. So if Dr. Tamang would explain what he was.
Thank you, Chair. The motion is to allocate current and future opioid settlement funds to the opioid settlement committee that has already been established. And for background, there's about $506,000 the city currently has in opioid funds that we've been waiting on guidance. We haven't spent it because we weren't sure the proper channels. And now we have a committee that's focused on this work. So we want that committee to make these decisions, bring it to the council for a vote so we can implement these dollars effectively.
Mr. Landine?
I think that's fine. It's pretty much just telling our finance officer where to park the money when we receive it. And then obviously any money we receive, the action today we really needed was just approval to accept the money. And then obviously, however the city is going to spend that money, the council has the power of the purse strings, so you will ultimately decide. But if that's, I don't see any issue with saying that's where you'd like to park the money until we make decisions about how to expend it.
So we have a motion by Tamang to park that $506,000 of already received opioid funds and with the committee that's been established to handle those funds. There's a second by Evans. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the Finance Office. Director Ainsley for items 4 through 13.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 4 is your August Treasury and General Fund update. It includes a listing of where you currently hold your $224.8 million in current assets. I would want to note that the General Fund undesignated reserve finished the month at just over $1 million. We do anticipate in September as well as October that number will probably fall just based on our cash flows, and then in November when we receive the second property tax, it will then increase again. For number 5, our July sales tax report, our general 2% sales tax was up 3.01% over last year, so it is solid. We are trending 0.9% higher than we had budgeted. July, the tourism industry did incredibly well. Our tourism tax was up 6.18%. Compared to July of 2024. Item number 6, the Community Development Block Grant federal award. The current federal fiscal year, the city received $491,823. Item number 7 is a CDBG award to Black Hills Special Services for $36,880. Item number 8 is the CDBG award to Black Hills Works for $164,946. Item number 9 is a CDBG award to West River Mental Health for $36,880. Item number 10 is an award, a CDBG award to YFS for $89,700. Item number 11 is authorizing a development agreement for tax increment financing district number 99. That is the Marshall Heights tax increment finance district. That has already been approved by the council. This is just the development agreement. All the terms of the TID are the same as what the council has previously approved. Item number 12 is assigning the increment that would be generated from the tax increment district number 94, which is adjacent to property meld, to assign those increment revenues to Black Hills Federal Credit Union. That's where the developer is receiving the loan from. And then item number 13 is to authorize us to proceed with the purchase of some shelving for the Journey Museum. That would come out of the Vision Fund, and that was approved by the Citizens Committee as well as the council during this last round of Vision Fund. The total cost of that's $139,498.72. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Director Ainsley. We'll go to Bill Evans.
Yeah, I just want to make a note that even though I'll vote to approve this plan, I was originally in opposition still under that Marshall Heights particular TIF. I think it is a money loser, and I don't think it should have been approved in the first place, but I just want to make that clear that just because I'm voting for this plan, since it's already in motion, I really don't support that. Thank you.
We have a motion by Seacrest to approve 4 through 13, and a second by Tamang. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to Community Development for item 14. Director Fisher, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is our annual report that we bring forward each year. It's for 2026. This is a draft report. It outlines the annual activities, planning, studies, and projects to be developed by the MPO for the year 2026. And if you'd like any specific details on it, I have Kelly Brennan and Kip Harrington, our transportation planners, sitting in the audience. Otherwise, we would ask for your approval.
Okay, there's a motion by Evans and a second by Seacrest to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have something from Youth City Council. Do we have a representative? Apparently we do. Don't? Is she going to present on that? Oh. Okay, then we're gonna go to Councilwoman Seacrest for items 15 and 16, as she's the liaison to the Youth City Council.
Thank you, Chair. I am past liaison to the Youth City Council and can speak to these items. The first is just a request for the Youth City Council to attend the 2026 NLC Congressional City Conference in Washington, D.C. in March. They are anticipating to take 8 youth this year and 2 chaperones. And they had planned to use the remaining travel and training budget from this year and then utilize their budget for the 2026 for the remaining portion of those funds. And then the updated bylaws to the Youth City Council were just a few minor updates, including moving from 3 consecutive terms to 4 consecutive terms per member. And then I think there might have been one other minor adjustment, some punctual corrections or something. So that is the gist of those 2 items.
We'll go back to Councilman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Stroman. I just want to comment that I think this money being spent on the Youth City Council, and you've done a great job with them, Lindsay, over the last few years, is money so well spent. It's seed money that plants good ideas, gives the youth of our city the idea that they matter and their voice is important. They take these ideas down into the high school level and they start planting those seeds of good citizenship that I think grow. And if you get people thinking about appropriate use of their time when they research community issues and everything, rather than reacting with their heart when they should be using their head to study things, I think it's money very, very well spent, and we should continue these programs in the future. So thank you.
Here's a motion to approve and a second by Evans to approve 15 and 16. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next consent item is human resources. Is there anybody? So I knew Amber wasn't going to be here, but
Hi,
thanks.
I'm Kim Beck. This amendment to the AFSCME agreement, if approved, updates Appendix E to keep our job titles and wage scales aligned with today's responsibilities, market conditions, and operational needs. AFSCME leadership has reviewed and supports these changes. If approved, the total estimated cost is about $17,435, which will be absorbed with existing budgets. No supplemental appropriation is needed.
Thank you. Any discussion? Motion to approve by Lehman and a second by Tamang. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the police department. Looks like Assistant Chief Fitz to discuss 18 through 20.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. For number 18, we are requesting authorization to accept a state JAG grant that's going to allow us to purchase a 3D crime scanner. This will allow us to scan scenes quickly, process evidence. It will create digital models of the scenes. It'll help out our detectives preserve evidence and also help out in investigations and also with courtroom prosecutions. The JAG grant is for $117,000. The total cost of the machine is a little over $124,000, leaving a balance of about $7,600, which the PD has budgeted for. Acceptance of the grant prevents us from not having to do long-term planning or budgeting to purchase this type of technology. For number 19, we are requesting to use opioid settlement funds to purchase a liquid chromatography device. This will allow us to test and measure the presence and the strength and purity of opioids, including fentanyl and other emerging synthetic drugs. This is important for us right now. There's a pretty long wait to send items off to the state health lab. This will allow for a quick turnaround time, better partnering with our local law enforcement, our other public health, to let us know what we have in the community for education and prevention and also possible emergency treatment. It's important for us to know the purity of these drugs that are floating around in our community, and this will help us do that. And for item number 20, as you're aware, we had a drunk driver run into our southwest precinct. They caused extensive damage. We worked with the city attorney's office to request some emergency procurement funds. We're confident that it's the renovations or fixing it up will not cost over $75,000. So we're requesting some emergency funding to fix that. Right now, we have some plywood screwed into the building. Winter's coming. It's not the best, and we need to get that done as soon as possible.
Thank you. We'll go to Bill Evans.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate our police department on trying to use new and better instruments in order to, solve their problems that they have there and moving forward progressively. I think that's always great. I do want to ask Dr. Tamang's opinion about the opioid transfer, since that's been a point of discussion so far. So I'll just turn that over to him then and see if you think this is an appropriate way to spend it before your committee has taken place.
Dr. Tamang's in the queue, so we'll go to Dr. Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Evans. So I think there's some important background on this item. It was laid out perfectly, but what this machine basically will do is determine purity of opioids. And so it absolutely falls under the criteria, but it has a very important secondary use. This machine actually this request for this machine actually came about from a meeting that I had with the Chief of Police, Pennington County State Attorney Laura Retzel, regarding the illegal hemp derivative products such as Delta-8, Delta-10, and THCO. And right now, there's a lot of movement on this particular issue. I've heard from constituents that these products are still in the community. They are illegal. And the police department and the state's attorney office intends for people to follow the law. One of the big problems why they haven't been able to successfully get them off the streets For one, is lack of voluntary compliance, which needs to stop. It really needs to stop for your benefit. But number two, to get these items tested, they have to go to a state lab, which can easily take 6 months, and you can't prosecute something without an appropriate piece of equipment. So yes, this is absolutely appropriate for opioids, but it can test the purity of anything. So if you're selling a THC derivative that is above 3%, which is the legal requirement, this machine can test it. Furthermore, we have the specialized staff to run this machine. We have the protocols in place at the police department's discretion to where they are legally binding. The Attorney General's office made sure of that. So, and by the way, I'll point this out for public record. Within the last week, the police department has been visiting local vape shops and other associated retail facilities that sell these products. They are purchasing them to some degree. They are speaking to them. And we don't want to see prosecution. There's a 30-day jail penalty. There's a $500 offense, possibly. We don't want to see those happen because it's a waste of everybody's time and resource. We want voluntary compliance, but we need to have teeth if we need them. So yes, this is very important. It's absolutely appropriate, and I support it fully.
I move to approve 18 through 20.
There's a motion by Evans and a second by Sechrist to approve 18 through 20. All in favor? All opposed, motion carries, and thanks to Dr. Tamang for being an authority on this and sharing his knowledge on the opioid situation. It's a huge benefit for us, I think. So that brings us to the end of the end of the consent calendar, and I'm going to non-consent calendar, items 21 through 28, and I'm going to open public comment, and I have one speaker request for item 21 and one for item 23. So on item 21, I'd call up Murray Lee. Please, you have 3 minutes, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to request an exception to the new rule prohibiting downtown street closures, specifically for Indian Collective's Indigenous Peoples Day event, which is Monday, October 13th. For the last 2 years, the city has allowed us to close Main Street between 5th Street and 6th Street, and that closure has been absolutely essential to the safety and the success of the event. Just to note, this event brings together hundreds of families, children, elders, visitors for a day of cultural celebration, education, and community. And with the size of the crowd we anticipate this year, having an open street with active traffic just steps from where children are going to be playing, families will be enjoying the afternoon, just creates a significant safety risk. So closing that one block not only provides a safe environment for families, but also allows our security team to do their job more effectively as well. And again, this has been done for the last 2 years. It's been a great event. We've followed all the rules of the permitting, and to that effect, if we do get this granted, I've already coordinated with traffic services company, to be able to do what they did for the last 2 years, to put the appropriate signage up, put the barricades up, blocking Main Street between 5th and 6th Street, as they have done in years past. So we're really proud of this event. It's a great event. We would respectfully ask for this request to be granted. Dr. Big Eagle, do you have anything you'd like to say?
And so this is a kid-friendly and family-friendly event. Last year we had about 2,000 people come to Main Street downtown, including everyone, non-native, native. And so we're just wanting the City Council, the legal and finance team to consider the safety for your constituents, for all of our community. It's just something very conscious. It's a common practice to be able to think about the children's safety, the elders' safety, the safety of all of our people. And so I just want to remind folks that, and that this is a sober event as well. So it's alcohol and drug-free event, and we want it to remain, crimeless and safe. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker request form on item 23 is Caleb Arsenault and Dave Sharp.
I think we may have made a mistake. We're actually on the agenda item, so there's no public comment that we would like to make. So I think we're item number 23.
Oh, okay. If you can wait till then, or if you want to speak now and then speak then, if people have questions.
Well, out
up
of
to you.
respect to the agenda, we'll just wait our turn.
Thanks. Go to Bill Evans.
Yeah, as far as the street closure goes, I think it's critical that we honor our indigenous peoples. I don't find this to be a major inconvenience to the city to close that street. We're blessed here that Omaha is only a block away and really provides a east-west corridor that's totally suitable. If you think of Sioux Falls, their main street downtown is 4 or 5 blocks from Minnesota Street. It causes more circulation problems. We don't necessarily have this. So I think this is a very minor inconvenience to the city. And I think it's important on that day that we recognize that this is an important day and honor our Native American citizens. So I hope that people decide to approve this exception. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lindsay, I'm just going to read in the item before you make your comments, please. Item 21 is request from NDN Collective to close Main Street between 5th Street and 6th Street for Indigenous Peoples' Day on October 13th, 2025. And we'll take into consideration Councilman Evans' remarks so he doesn't have to repeat them, and go to Lindsay Sechrist.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to ask a clarifying question of Mr. Murray. If I could, yep. Mr. Lee, sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Evans' comments. I think that we've kind of taken this out of context from the city side of things with the road closures. This is a holiday, a family celebration event, and is a minor inconvenience to our downtown community. In the project plan that was attached to the agenda, it looked like you were asking for a partial road closure of Main Street between 5th and 6th on the 500 block of Main Street. From the traffic design drawings that were provided, it looked like you were looking for just one lane closure. So I was just clarifying, are we looking to close down that entire block?
Yes, close down the entire block as it was done the past 2 years. I'm not sure I think that's from this year's, but
Yes, okay.
to look at last year's, it would include the entire,
And
all
then-
3 lanes down Main
Okay,
Street.
and then 6th Street as
Yep.
well. So
And then
you
6th, the
realize-
intersection at 6th Street and Main remains open,
Oh, okay.
but 5th to 6th on Main is closed, and then 6th from Main to the alley is closed as well.
Okay, thank you.
But that
for-
intersection's open.
Yes, so, and to keep it safe, so safety is top priority. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
There's a motion to approve by Lehman and a second by Tamang. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item 22, introduction, first reading of ordinance number 6689, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 3 for 2025. And we'll go to Finance Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The total supplemental appropriation request is for $3.5 million. Most of that, 2/3, is actually for the Homestead TID district and for the improvements that are being made in that, so that we can proceed with the projects in that, including the fire station as well as the park improvements and the purchasing of that. And then there is also $150,000 of supplemental appropriation for the demolition fund for a lot of the work that's going to be done throughout the community for some substandard structures that I believe code enforcement is working on removing in the coming months. There's also $428,000 in STIP funds that are going towards some road projects that are moving a little ahead of schedule compared to what we were anticipating. Are there any questions?
Go to Bill Evans.
Sorry, I feel like talking a lot today, but I think this is a good point to point out how you're talking about the Homestead TID. We don't have in this state a vehicle for economic development or for these kind of things aside from these tax increment districts. In many states, just part of your tax money goes into a giant fund in the state capital and they dole it out the way they want. We have a very little amount of that happens, and frankly, most of it that's gone in the past has gone to Sioux Falls. So I see these I used to be totally opposed to them many years ago before I knew what I was talking about. because I've done research on it now, and I think it's been a wonderful thing for our community. So I just hope people in the future, when they hear that name, or a TIF or a TID or whatever, they really research what the benefits are versus the costs of developing these districts, because I think you find in the long run, most of them are very good for the community. So I just want to make sure people do their due diligence before they rise up in opposition to all these. And this is a perfect example of one that works well. Thank you.
There's a motion by Seacrest and a second by Evans to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 23, request for $500,000 from the CIP contingency fund for improvements to the Rapid City Soccer Complex. And Mr. Sharp, are you going to speak to that now?
Yeah.
And Caleb? Okay.
Good afternoon. We have a little presentation here for you. My name's Caleb Arsenault. I'm here in my capacity as CEO of Live Hospitality, a citizen of Rapid City, and also a parent of children that have enjoyed these soccer fields. We were very involved back in 2014 in the genesis of this development when Doyle graciously donated the land, and it has now come to fruition. But we're here before you today to talk about a significant upgrade to this facility that is a city-owned facility. And what you see on the screen here today, and I know you have information in your packet, is we're looking at a $2 million project, and we want to bring in a turf field, which will extend the season by about 80 days for additional play for our community and for our youth, as well as adding lights to 4 fields. In this project summary, you'll see that each project costs about $1 million, and you'll see a capital stack here on this slide that shows where we are requesting and know these funds will come from. And I think it's a rare occurrence when you see public and private coming together, and the city could potentially benefit by a capital improvement and only pay 25% of the overall cost. 75% of this would be coming from the community and the business community, of which sees incredible value in what Black Hills Rapids has done in developing this project. So you can see there's $500,000 from the Black Hills Rapids, so that is money that they've received through registration and community members and families that have registered their kids to play soccer. There's $500,000 in current and ongoing capital campaign. And I would add that this capital campaign does not come with any sort of advertising or naming rights. This is generosity from the business community because they see the positive impact of what this facility has done for our community. And then we are requesting and this is based on Director Ansley's direction, a loan from the city at 0 interest for 10 years that would be paid back to the city from Black Hills Rapids, and then a $500,000 grant from the city. And I believe those are the 2 items we're here to talk to you about today. Black Hills Rapids Soccer impacts over 2,000 families here in this community. They host a number of tournaments across the year, including this turf field you'll see in this slide, allows the play to occur during inclement weather. So the grass fields are limited on wet, snowy, inclement weather, and snow can also be broomed from the turf. So that creates a situation where we can actually utilize the field over more days throughout the year. Some environmental impact: it eliminates irrigation zones, saving us about 58,000 gallons of water a week, which is a significant change. 235,000 gallons per month. It also reduces the fertilizer, pesticide, and other chemicals we use for the fields. The access, switching gears to the lights. So what this allows is for us to expand the tournaments that Black Hills Rapids is putting on. This last tournament, they had over 210 teams attending, and it's a massive economic impact to our community. Estimates by Visit Rapid City put it north of $15 million a year. So adding the lights would allow additional scheduling opportunities, as you can see from this slide. The 12 total fields would give 48 additional games that would allow to bring more teams in for weekends. It will also allow our recreational players a place for training in the fall and early spring. It's a very inclusive program, and in that vein of inclusivity, I can speak personally to it. This is a multi-sport complex. Black Hills Youth Football uses it. Black Hills Lacrosse Association also uses these fields, and it's quite an asset for our community. A lot of information here, but this is talking to the economic impact of the various tournaments. You can see on the right-hand side, there are 5 tournaments with a total economic impact of $13 to $15 million. And frankly, it's been a pretty easy sell for our business community to support this without any sort of sponsorship or naming recognition, because we do recognize, and it's a tried and true organization that really does a great job in bringing visitors into our area and tournaments. You can see the local tax impact as well of $114,000 a year. So I talked to some of this, 2,000 soccer players. There's 3 outdoor soccer tournaments that Dave Sharp here to my left, the executive director, he and his team put on. St. Thomas More Boys and Girls, they use this facility as a home field. South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, also their men's soccer team uses it as their home field. Talked about Black Hills Lacrosse. Ultimate Frisbee is a new sport that's also being presented out here at this facility. Talked about the youth football and flag football as well. So as you can see, it's really been a great success across the community. And I think this is a really opportune time for the public and private sectors to come together and really make an impactful improvement to this amazing asset we have. And with that, we would stand by for any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Caleb. We'll go to Councilman Tamang.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the excellent presentation and the work that you folks are doing. I just thought I might have a few comments that are useful. This is a variation of a Vision Fund request before. This is a much easier to swallow and I think in many ways an optimized request. But I did reach out to the Vision Fund Committee prior because it was denied, and I asked, why and were there any issues? And there's a lot of things I could say about that, but the bottom line was this was one of the projects they regretted not being able to fund. They thought it was a top tier project, and because this is sort of within that vein, I thought it was important to have their views on it. So the big changes that happened were the ask went from $3.5 million to $2 million. And now we have a series of private companies that are saying, hey, we want to contribute. And so you're raising $1 million, $500,000 from private business, $500,000 locally. So that speaks to a tremendous amount of community involvement. That doesn't happen easily. CEOs don't write checks easily. So that's something that I think when we see, we really need to support. There's an issue of fairness with Vision Fund applicants that were denied before, but now are being considered. I think any Vision Fund that was denied before and then reworked, and a lot of community engagement, a lot of people bringing money to the table and new ideas, I think those are worthy of reevaluation. The one issue that I have with this particular proposal is it's requested to come out of the CIP contingency funds. And I recognize that technically that is accurate. It's a city-owned thing, so it's reasonable to say that. But I think when I think of CIP contingency funds, or the general public does, they think of like a project that was too expensive, or a water pipe broke or something of that nature. It doesn't. Most folks would probably find it a little disingenuous if we took money out of that fund to fund an upgrade for a soccer field. But thankfully, the revenue for the city has continued to be higher than anticipated, and I think we can thank TIFs for that to some degree. Just saying. And what we see is the Vision funds have enough undedicated allocation to fund this. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve this by changing the funding source to unallocated Vision funds. I yield.
There's a motion by Tamang and a second by Evans to change the request to have the funds come from unallocated vision funds. And before I go to Lindsay, I guess I'd just like to ask Finance Director if he has a suggestion on how we could further refine this allocation if we were going to vote for it. Director Ainsley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, just so the council is aware, from the previous rounds, so round 7 of vision funds, there remains $4.88 million available that has not been allocated. And so I've spoken with several different council members about this, and there's been a request to allocate all 4.88 million of that into the comprehensive plan improvement line item for this current round 8 of the vision fund. That way everyone is aware of how much funding is available, and then when the council starts determining various projects that are funded through that comprehensive plan, you have a full picture of the amount of resources that are available for whatever projects the council ends up ultimately funding out of that comprehensive plan line item, of which I think there's $21 million in that. So if you would fund $500,000 for this project out of that, there would be an additional $4.38 million to place in the comprehensive plan improvements.
But this is an ask for 500
For 500.
for a grant, and then a loan for the additional 500. Would that come from the same?
The loan we would come from the cash balance within the vision fund, and as projects come in and come out, it would be funded through the cash balance that's within that. There's more than sufficient cash available in the vision fund itself. There's more than $15 million right now. And just given the time for projects to come in, there's no concern about providing a $500,000 loan.
Go to Councilwoman Sechrist.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a comment, and also thank you to Councilman Tomang for bringing in the perspective of our past Vision Fund Citizens Committee. I just want to thank the group for the opportunity to ask questions and the transparency behind this request. This is a phenomenal example of a public-private partnership where the city can come together with existing organizations to partner and make improvements that are needed with a lesser impact to our limited funding sources that we have available. I do really appreciate Councilman Tomang looking after protecting our CIP funds. We do have very, very small amount of funds that we allocate to capital improvements in the community, and as we've been told over and over with the 200-year replacement cycle of our roads, we need to protect every single dollar in our CIP assets and funds for that particular use. And just the success of Black Hills Rapids and the impact that that's had on our community, I think, is a huge testament to this organization. Just thank you, gentlemen, for the work that you do and what you're offering our families. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilman Bill Evans.
I certainly concur with Dr. Tamang and with what Ms. Sechrist over here said. There's been something of a disturbing trend, though, that's been going on in our culture. It's really, really easy to raise money for sporting events and things like that, and I don't disagree with that. I think this is a wonderful project, great return on investment. I went on and checked with a lot of the parents who have kids involved. There's tons of support for this at every level in the community. So I think this is going to be a great success. I went to a university where when we have fundraisers for the University of Nebraska, for a cancer center, for a new engineering building, for a new music building, things like this. And, when they scrimp and scrounge and go to the foundation, it's so hard to raise money. And yet, when they needed $300 million for their new weight room, they raised it overnight for the football team. And now there's going to be another $500 million addition to that already gorgeous stadium. And so I'm just hoping that people respond to other requests with this kind of generosity we find from the community, because there's more to life than just these kind of activities, which I totally support as an activities teacher for all those years, 40 years. I just hope we shut the lights off on this early enough in the evening so the kids go home to do their homework for advanced, AP Calc and practice their violin. That's my only concern, so thank you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved, and I think it's, but I just wanted to restate is it all right with the movement? I think it was Dr. Tamang, to adopt the plan as expressed by the finance director with regards to those funds. Okay, so that's what we're voting on. So any questions about what the motion is? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item
Thank you.
is-
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is item 24, resolution number 2025-122, a resolution authorizing and directing the issuance and sale of water revenue refunding bonds, defining the terms and manner of payment of the bonds and the security therefor. And we'll go to Finance Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city does have a variety of different debts that are currently outstanding. Part of our job within the finance office is to look whenever the markets hopefully are becoming a little more cooperative to see if we can refinance some of our existing debt to try to save the taxpayers, or in this case, the ratepayers, some money. One of our existing issuances is fairly small. However, with that being said, there are, within that issuance, there are several different callable options. There are 4 or 5 total options that are at a higher interest rate that right now, given the current environment, we could actually refinance at a lower interest rate. We believe that we would be able to save the ratepayers about $600,000 if we did so. So this is just the first step in that process. This is not a guarantee that we are going to refinance it. If over the next 2 weeks the markets go crazy and things go out of whack, we're not going to proceed. But this is the first step that we need so that we can investigate that, because we are trying to save the ratepayers as much as possible.
Thank you, Director Ainsley. We'll go to Councilwoman Sechrist.
Thank you, Director Ainsley. I just had a quick question on that. I saw that this is not to exceed a 4% increase with the current bond rate. So I was just curious, what is our current bond rate with these being so old? I figured they'd be much better than what we could offer right now.
Our currently our bond rating is AA2, and what the 4%, we would not proceed with refinancing if the rates we would get would be higher than the 4%. These are actually fairly short term, the ones that we would do. I believe all of them have a term of less than 36 months. And so we do think that the rate that we would actually get is quite a bit lower than that 4% threshold. The reason we have a 4% threshold, though, is if for some reason the best rates we could end up receiving were 4.5%, there's really not much of a return for the taxpayers, so we would, or ratepayers, I'm sorry. So we would be waiting until hopefully the market gets a bit better. I do think we're going to receive lower than 4%. But I don't want to guarantee that right now.
Thank you.
There's a motion to approve by Sechrist and a second by Tamang. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 25, authorize $60,000 from the council contingency fund for the Menaloosahan Senior Center.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Lehman to approve and a second by Evans, and we'll go to Councilwoman Sechrist.
Thank you, Chair. I would just make a request that we attach the documentation that's been provided to us with an summary of explanation to the council agenda for Monday night. There is nothing attached to the agenda right now, so there's really not a lot of information out there available. So I am going to support this request. I believe that supporting our senior community and revitalization of the Menaluzahan is important and true value add to the community. I think that Director Laura Armstrong is doing an excellent job and has some really creative ideas that she's wanting to implement. I do hold a little caution with the sustainability of the organization. I want to ensure the success of this organization and well into the future. So that's really my only concern with the funding going to program and operations. But absolutely in support of trying to lend a helping hand and a step up so that we can take something that is really struggling and make it a worthwhile investment in the community. And so I look forward to seeing what comes out of this. And I am encouraged that we all have good intentions in supporting our senior community. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to Councilman Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echoed that there's a lot of amazing, exciting things happening at the Senior Center, and I applaud those changes. I've been following on social, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I fully support this. I think there was great information that was conveyed, including the financials that were requested. And my only thought on this as far as structure, I think it's important not to make this too onerous to execute. I think there was $60,000 and it was in certain buckets, but I think, and I'm not sure if this should be directed to the legal department as far as contracting with MOU, but honestly, I think it would make it difficult for them to stay within those perfect buckets and there would be some inefficiencies. So I would approve with an MOU that requires simply a report on how it was spent that fit along with the guidelines that was recommended. That way they had flexibility in how they use those dollars. I yield.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is number 26. It's the 2025 Rapid City Comprehensive Plan presentation by Megan Moore and Logan Simpson. We'll go to Community Development Director Vicki Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to take an opportunity to thank all of you who actively participated in the review of the comprehensive plan. As you know, I got it out to you as we were creating it, and many of you provided valuable insight. And I hope as you're reading the document, you see your words within it. It has been a collaborative effort, one that really captures the voice of the community as a whole. With that, I'll turn it over to Megan Moore with Logan Simpson to provide you with a very brief presentation. I know it's been a long meeting for you already.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, Vicki. Megan Moore with Logan Simpson. I've given this presentation a couple times now, and it always hovers around 20 minutes. So I think I'll try to condense it as we go. I will warn you that there's a lot of wordy slides, but I promise I won't read every one on the screen as we go through.
Are you planning on doing this Monday night at the meeting too? No? Okay. Go ahead and condense away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, just a thank you to your entire community, to your city staff, department heads, yourselves as community leaders. This was a robust community outreach process, and I think you'll notice that from the numbers on the screen that you see. I will say, having done this in a lot of different communities, some of the outreach events and your venue, the Dull Event Center, has been fantastic throughout. And we've been, honestly, probably a little surprised at the in-person turnout, and you should really celebrate that as a community, the involvement. Really quickly, the process kind of walked folks through issues and opportunities, asked for the community's feedback on what those were, what they would like to see in the future, and then narrowed those down and talked a little bit about, okay, well, what do those look like on the ground? What would help make the city even better in the future? And then the last go-around really asked for help on key actions and asked for folks to identify their priorities in those actions and which were most important to them to move forward. Just a reminder of some of the great events that we had. We had Rapid City Talks. We went out to some of the food truck events, music in the park, et cetera, to get word out and to get that feedback from the community. The community input that we heard on screen here, but has really set the stage for the structure of the plan. So you'll notice that each of these 8 different topics, we had numerous discussions about, and those set the stage by becoming chapters in the plan itself. And all of the different bullet points here really helped inform that goal and policy structure of the plan. So those themes that you just saw on the last slide really are consolidated into chapters 3 through 10 of the plan, which is your goal and policy structure. 1 and 2 really kind of give the overview, set the stage through the vision and values. And then chapter 11 is really short, but your most mighty chapter, because that actually starts to talk about your actions and how to implement this plan rather than it just sitting on a shelf, but being actionable. Chapter 1 is really just that overview. How do you use the plan? Who's leading the plan? How often you should update it? It talks a little bit about the framework of the plan. So each of the little circles on the side there, each of those elements, each of your chapters, while they have goals and policies of their own, they really feed into future land use and what that looks like on the ground on the map. On the other side of the screen here is that each chapter and throughout the document, there's an identified set of values that really set the stage for the policies. And in order to meet your vision and your goals, you're utilizing those policies and actions to kind of get you down towards the finish line. What you see here is those key trends and opportunities. So along with public input, we really did our due diligence and kind of took a snapshot of where the city stands in regards to existing conditions. Between public input, helping to set the stage for all these different elements, and that existing conditions analysis, these are your goals within the plan. Each element, each chapter have one goal per element, and then you've got a series of policies and then actions, which continuously get a little bit more detailed. Chapter 2 really sets the stage through the community vision. The vision was identified early on in the process as Rapid City is building a strong and healthy community rooted in its people. And that came out of early outreach processes, came from the community, and then kind of really wordsmithed through the meetings with the study advisory team. In addition to that, the set of core values was identified, and then the remainder of this chapter really talks about that engagement by phase. Those values set the stage for your policy structure within each chapter, and each chapter talks a little bit about this and how that element fits into stewardship or livability, accountability, opportunity, etc. So you really have a nice tie back throughout the document back to your vision and values of the community. Before I dive in, just a little bit of an explanation here. So the next couple chapters 3 through 10, as I said, they include the goals and policies. It's not all that they have. We just really narrowed it down here for the presentation. But each chapter includes, first, relationship back to those community values that I just showed on screen. Second, highlights from existing conditions. So what are the key things that data shows that the city should work on or that the city should celebrate as part of the goal and policies? Key opportunities, so those things that you should look at throughout the lifespan of the plan, and then your goals, policies, and actions. What you see on screen here and is consistent throughout the next set of slides is the goal is always at the top. So for land use, it's balanced growth strategically and collaboratively. And then the bolded text below are your policy statements. The bulleted items are your action items, and these are just highlighted action items. So definitely not all that are in the plan. There's a lot more behind these policies. We thought we'd just highlight a few. So in regards to balancing growth strategically and collaboratively, a lot of the conversations we had through the process were focused on supporting this mix of uses, developing complete neighborhoods, and focusing growth inward. So a lot of people wanted to be able to walk to daily services, walk to school, and we'll get into kind of safety of that aspect and transportation as well. In addition to that, buffering incompatible uses, so making sure different uses are separated if necessary, while also kind of looking at that mix, ensuring growth is financially sustainable, and strengthening partnerships. So knowing that the city is not the only one that can make all of this work, but also being able to coordinate with your partners, the county, the MPO, other municipalities. In regards to future land use, this plan really sets the stage through your goals, your values, your vision for next steps on updating the future land use map. And that will be undertaken as one of the key projects as part of implementation of this plan. In regards to housing, of course, this was a huge topic throughout the process, and the chapter really focuses on not just touching on affordable housing, which is a key priority, but also making sure that you have different housing types throughout the city. So enhancing that diversity, not just single-family detached, but also looking at apartments, condos, townhouses, cottage courts, et cetera, throughout the city. Looking at economy, being able not just to strengthen the existing industry that you already have, but expanding that opportunity through new businesses, working on enhancing relationships between School of Mines, and building that workforce. So not only focusing on economic development and training, but also providing support to the workforce through housing, being able to provide the housing in line with incomes. On public services and facilities, being both able to leverage existing infrastructure kind of gets back to that financial aspect of, building out, building new versus being able to provide services where there already is existing infrastructure. Improving operational efficiency and enhancing emergency services as well as supportive services. So not just focusing on the things that we always think of in regards to police, fire, but also expanding that to look at healthcare, childcare, housing, and food security. In regards to recreation, open space, and natural resources, you have a great environment around here, so being able to continue to protect that and enhance that, while also improving park accessibility and functionality. You just heard a great presentation about the soccer field, so in line with that type of project, but also looking at new facilities to be able to create equity across the city that folks can be in a park within a 10-minute walk from their house. And in regards to transportation, focusing a little bit more, we heard a lot about bike and ped infrastructure as part of our conversations throughout the process. So not just making sure that everybody is able to get around easily in a car, but also safely by bike or walking. So improving safety for all users was a high priority, as well as focusing on multimodal investments and looking at transit connections. On the arts and culture side, there was a lot of talk about this too, being able to enhance some of your indigenous partnerships, enhance some of the arts programs, expanding public art programs, et cetera, throughout the community. And then last, educational, this kind of gets back to just that connectivity. So being able to plan for schools and neighborhoods in conjunction so that they work together. Kids can easily walk to school. You're not exacerbating transportation situations by drop-off. And then being able to foster retention through that. So not only looking at K through 12, but also enhanced educational opportunities after that to contribute to your workforce. And the last chapter, as I said, this focuses on, okay, what's next? So you've got the goals and policies structure, but this sets the stage as an action plan for staff to continue to work on, leadership to support, and community even to get involved in. Some of those key projects, I won't go through all of these, but the first was to initiate future land use plan updates to the map and categories. Also in line with this, to update municipal code. There are some things in the plan now that lead to code updates in order to create the regulatory structure to make this plan happen. A lot of the rest of these is to be able to update plans, take a look at some of your existing plans and just ensure that they're in line with this comprehensive plan. And the last piece, as you all have talked about this afternoon, to be able to use the vision funds in line with the comp plan itself. And then this is just one screenshot of many pages of action items. And like I said, this sets the work plan for city staff, elected officials, leaders within the community. Each one's detailed by what type of project that is, whether it's a regulatory update, ordinance, code update, whether it's a capital improvement project, a community engagement project, or an additional plan. And then talks a lot about who's leading that, so which city department is in charge of that, but also which partners need to be also brought into the mix in order to make that happen. And with that, I hope that wasn't too quick or too long, but we have reached out to the MPO already. We've done one presentation with them, and they were supportive of the plan. We met with Planning Commission just last week, who unanimously recommended to you all for approval. And then we met with your Public Works Subcommittee yesterday. So, with that, you should see this back on your agenda for Monday for your approval. And with that, I can thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. We'll go to Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what's really exciting about this plan, and yes, I was here when we did our last comprehensive plan with Clarion, there's really a toolkit here that shows you the steps to take to implement. And it's something that we can start doing immediately. It's not something that we have to wait and do down the road. It addresses some very difficult topics and says, how do we improve? And here's who has to jump in and get involved to make that improvement. So I'm excited about this. I hope you will support us. We're looking for a recommendation of approval today and confirmation on Monday night. If you have any questions, we'd certainly answer them. If you want to go one-on-one, if you do have some questions specific to any topics, myself and Marlo Capsa would be willing to meet with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. We'll go to Lindsay Sechrist.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to shout out appreciation to Marlo Capsa and to Vicki Fisher's team. I know that this has been a heavy lift and a long ongoing process. Having participated in the study advisory team throughout our community meetings, as I was reading through the finished plan as proposed on the agenda, I just see so much of our input and our ideas like interwoven throughout this document. And so I just want to let you know how much I appreciate that. You're listening to us, and I was here not as a council member during the 2014 comprehensive plan creation as well. And I just have to say, like, tenfold how much more efficient this is. I feel like the goals and identified action items are so much more clear and just relevant to our community today. So thank you so much for your work on this. I know Marlo put in a tremendous amount of work on this from our end. So we really, really appreciate you and all you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Go to Councilman Evans.
Yeah, I just want to also comment on what Ms. Vicki said over there. I, too, am happy with this because the plan truly is comprehensive. And the only problem with these things is sometimes they end up sitting on the shelf. They need to be living documents, and I think the council's next task would be to prepare a checklist that we can use when we're voting on items to see whether or not they actually fit the plan. So people don't go into a vote thinking with their hearts, but use, again, their head as to whether or not this moves us forward in the same direction we're supposed to be moving. So I know from 40 years of writing curricula for the city, things get off on a tangent, and you need to stay focused and you need to stay online with the overall plan for 50 years from now and not just be thinking about today. So thank you for your work, and I'm sure this will meet with great favor from the full council on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to acknowledge?
Second.
Motion by Lehman and a second by Evans to acknowledge. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 27, resolution number 2025-114, a resolution amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Rapid City. It's motion to approve by Lehman and a second by Evans. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6692, an ordinance transferring the city's transit and GIS, that's Geographic Information System, divisions from the Department of Public Works to the Department of Community Development by amending chapters 2.44 and 2.47 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. And we'll go to Community Development Director Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As my interim role as Public Works Director over part of Public Works, it has been my absolute privilege to be able to work one-on-one with the GIS and RTS divisions. This is a fantastic group of individuals, and I remind you that when we first stood up GIS, it was stood up in the planning department, and somehow it got away from us. It really does function as a land use tool, in addition to all of the great information that Angie, who's in the audience here today, that she and her team make available to the county, to the other city staff, and to the public. RTS, transportation planning, is in community development. To have our rapid transit system be a part of our planning group is something that we work on together right now. So I am elated to have them join the community development department. And remember, one of the concerns that we all voiced when we decided that we were going to have 2 interim directors, Public Works is so big. And if we can take some of these divisions and move them to other departments where it is appropriate, it'll make it easier when we do stand up a PW director in the Public Works Department. So I do hope that we get your support on moving these 2 divisions to community development. Thank you.
Motion approved by Lehman, and a second by Tamang. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Seeing no Alderman items, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Lehman, second by Tamang. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.